But I do just love the simplicity of painting. You know, you have your canvas or board that you're painting on, pencil, brush, and paint. It's really simple. For me, it's part of the charm of it. It can at times seem limitless what you can do, and even some of those painters that do paint representationally, like Sargent and some of his contemporaries, you know, the famous portrait painters, you know, they had a real love for the paint and the material, and you could see that in these really beautiful renderings of these men and women in fine clothes. You know, this one painting I saw, this guy's holding this velvet glove, and when you go, and you know that it's like a velvet glove, and then you go look at it, and you realize that it's just 8 brush strokes, and they're just exquisitely placed in such a way that you know, and so yeah, there's definitely a love for painting, for drawing and painting. Yeah, and in some way I've kind of reconciled that with myself, that sort of like, I want to make something that's real, you know, hopefully is exciting. Or, you know, one of the things that sort of built my confidence with working with these is I knew that if I was doing something that wasn't working, nothing would be lost, because that portion that's not working, or this whole thing that's not working, could actually become, you know, one of these really kind of amazing lines, you know, this a window back to that could actually happen. So these 3 happened at the very beginning. Actually, you can kind of tell from looking at these, I was working on them at the same time. Often I'll just take a color from one, when one's sitting and drying, and just take it to the other ones in particular. This piece, you know, we talked about there's an inherent struggle in the making of paintings. This piece, while it was started, there were 3 different paintings that were started underneath this. They were all whited out, like a complete start over. So there was some struggle trying to get this canvas done. But when this thing was started, when it was white and I started drawing on it with pencil, this thing happened with almost no struggle at all. And sometimes you get those, and it's like a gift. And this one just... What I like about paintings, when I see them, you know, you can see the size brush I'm using, you can see how wet the paint was, how dry the paint was. It's not tricky. It's not tricky at all. It is just what it is. It is paint on panel. And so this one was, you know, really satisfying to do.
The way that your mind is, you know, taking a world in and kind of sorting it out for yourself.
Right. And
then in beautiful objects, one of the things a beautiful object does is kind of let you sort of just enjoy your status as a, you know, as an experiencing being, that it kind of lets you do that.
You know, and I'll say that there's definitely an attempt, while, you know, I fully admit that these images are sort of fun, absurd, silly at times things. There's definitely an attempt, and I've been sort of berated by well, a couple of artists that I know. They ask me why my stuff is so tasteful, like it is a bad thing.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, why is your work so tasteful? I thought about that a lot over the years, but I mean, I've kind of come to terms with it. I actually would like to make something that is in some way beautiful, like whether the color combinations work, whether the imagery is soft, it's always round, it's very fluid. You know, I will freely admit that I'm actually trying to make something that's beautiful, and hopefully, you know, that achieve that from time to time.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm not ashamed of that. I was for a minute, but it's all right. Okay.
Alienation and repulsion, aren't you, like?
Yeah, right. I think that is to some people, you know. I'm not mad at the world, you know. I'm trying to, and it's more enjoyable for me too, you know. It's more enjoyable, the pursuit of something that's sort of fascinating or beautiful, you know?
Mm.
It makes it a more pleasurable experience for me, so.